Hi, everybody. It's my pleasure to be here. One moment, please. So with recent advances in artificial intelligence, I believe that we have an incredible opportunity to revolutionize education. My apologies. So in my research, we found that, and I'm sure that all of you students here are aware that artificial intelligence is completely changing our educational landscape right now. Right now, I believe, and research has suggested that we have a chance to change our educational systems to enable all students to develop as motivated, self-directed, self-equitable, lifelong learners. But I also believe we have a big chance that we can make lots of mistakes. I believe that we can completely ruin the chance we have with AI, and I believe that some students here have seen that with new school policy that completely bans the software, and even to perpetuate inequality. More on that later. So I had a few research questions going into this project. I was really curious about how education should look like in the world of AI, what teachers should look like, and how we can alter our educational goals to not only try to school students, but to also help them develop as individuals who will be motivated to continue learning for the rest of their lives and contribute to the society. And these sort of questions led me to focus on this one question that asks, how should learners interact with artificial intelligence, the actual interaction? Through these questions, I proposed this research question. How can we modify and revolutionize current pedagogical theory, or the way we teach students, in a way that will leverage artificial intelligence in a learning experience that provides students the means by which they can become lifelong learners? So I'm asking, how can we change the way we teach? Change the way students are currently schooled to achieve different educational outcomes, to achieve different goals that education would accomplish? So to accomplish these goals, I came across this really interesting educational construct, and that some scholars have suggested in the rise of educational technological advances in the past. And that's called heutagogy, or the study of and practice of self-directed learning. I'm Ardavan Afrakhteh, and my presentation is titled A Holistic Approach to Implement AI in K-12 Classrooms for Heutagogical Learning. I'm a second-year high school student at Woodside Private School in California. So I'll go over a background of what heutagogy is, some relevant AI information, and then going over examples of heutagogy and AI interacting with each other, and then address some problems that may come up. So heutagogy is best thought as an extension of pedagogy and andragogy. So pedagogy is the method of schooling of students or dependent personalities. So you may hear the word pedagogical technique. That means the way a student is taught. Researchers have extended pedagogy to explore andragogy, or the facilitation of learning for students who are self-directed. So not the schooling of learning, but the facilitation of learning who are self-directed. So an example of this is, say your biology teacher provides you with a playlist of videos and tells you that you must complete each video at your own pace and then complete a quiz afterwards. That's andragogy. Researchers have extended andragogy to formulate heutagogy, or the method of facilitating learners for students who are self-determined. Heutagogy focuses on not teaching students, but rather calling them learners. And the difference here is that a learner is not dependent on a teacher. And under pedagogical systems, learners are dependent on a teacher. Under heutagogical systems, they're not. So it's been a theory for about 20 years. And it's been proved as a theory in military training, adult learning, nurse education, and nuanced college courses such as design thinking, but have never been tried in K-12 learning like I'm proposing in my paper. And these are the three laid out next to each other. The key difference between them is that heutagogy is the management of learning for self-determined learners. So heutagogy focuses on a few tenets, which is mainly developing skills alongside capabilities. So rather than just focusing on students learning, say, a biological concept or algebra concept. They're rather focusing on developing that skill of learning. So they're learning how to learn, which also some have called double loop learning. And the goal of this type of education is not necessarily that the students learn the skills and progress through a linear time frame of like a high school program, but rather that they develop the teamwork skills and the creativity skills and the self-efficacy that they can need to tackle a changing world economy. So in a heutagogical workflow, say an implementation of heutagogy in a classroom, first a student will identify what they want to learn. So in a biology course, a student can decide what specific concept they would like to learn and how they would want to learn it. So say I want to learn by going to various classes in my area, and I want to learn from these mentors, and I want to watch these videos. And then alongside a teacher, a learner could negotiate an assessment where they would decide how they would be assessed on the quality of their learning. So this can include things like essays and exams. But the key difference here is that the student is deciding how they best should be assessed and makes a contract with a teacher that states that they will be assessed in this way and based on this rubric at the end. And then to actually learn, the learner must identify and work alongside a teacher to identify resources that they would learn, like mentors and classes. And then at the end, and one of the most important parts of this whole process is that the learner will reflect on their experience and think about how they can do it better next time. So here's an allegory for what heutagogical scholars are saying today. This is a meme. I'm sure many of you have seen it. And it says that it's a penguin who's upset that their mom has just told them to do something that they were going to do. And in a way, this is what heutagogy is arguing. Students are inherently self-motivated, but by virtue of being placed under an oppressive schooling system, they no longer want to learn. And that human nature inherently wants to learn, but when someone is forced to learn, they would no longer want to. So to implement heutagogy, it's extremely difficult because it requires one-on-one conversation with the teacher, and in underfunded, under-resourced schools, this is absolutely impossible. So artificial intelligence can be employed for this task. And really what's critical in this is that we can employ large language models like GPT-4, but really what's important is that they are pre-trained and fine-tuned specifically to students and for teachers and for classes, and that they can be trained by school where schools have control over their data for ethical reasons. And general intelligence would be absolutely incredible for implementing heutagogy, but it can be implemented with the current technology we have. So AI can serve these tasks, that workflow that I went through with heutagogy, and do the things that teachers normally wouldn't be able to do. So examples in this in our current educational system are things like self-determined learning classes or project-based classes, independent final projects, and independent research classes. And why heutagogy? I believe, and researchers believe, that students won't learn if they're not motivated to do so. So if we throw AI out into an educational landscape and students aren't willing to use it, they'll only perpetuate inequality between students who are able to use AI and who are not. And heutagogy is a perfect pair for AI because it emphasizes that one-on-one connection that teachers really should be providing but can't provide right now. So I believe that AI should be used for a new type of education, a new educational construct called heutagogy. Otherwise, we could ruin our chance with AI. We can handle problems through the localization of tools, and I believe that we should think about how we should change our education to leverage AI. Thank you very much.
Great. As a reminder, if you have any questions that come in during the presentation, you could just drop them in the chat. One question that came up is, I'm curious how, in your research, how that maybe has changed how you have actually engaged in the classroom as a learner.
Yeah, that's actually a really great question. So after doing this research, I found myself relying less on the educational system to actually teach me how to interact with the world around me as a person. So before I would sort of complete all my schooling tasks, I'd finish the unit, I'd study for the test, I'd forget it, I'd study for the test, forget about it, move on to the next topic. But after discovering heutagogy, I realized how critical of a process the actual educational system is, and that the goal isn't necessarily to teach me the skills that I'm learning, but rather the process is training me to become a better person, to become stronger, to become more focused. So that's one way.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Ardavan.
All right, thank you, it's my pleasure.